13 best werewolf movies you must watch before you die. The true fans of horror movies will acknowledge that werewolf movies got an undue criticism and have been looked down upon right from the start. There has been a far greater acceptance for the likes of zombie flicks or even vampire movies. Even amongst filmmakers, there is a general tendency to avoid werewolf movies as it involves a greater investment in special effects, costumes, and makeup. The overall idea of werewolves, however, is intriguing. And with the right story, these movies can strike gold. Despite being the ignored cousin amongst various horror film genres, there are some werewolf movies that did make an impact with audiences. In this video, we decided to club together some of these classic werewolf flicks that are sure to fascinate you.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Cursed, 2005. Ellie looks after her younger brother Jimmy, and while picking him up from a party, they encounter a car crash. As they try helping a woman in the other car, a werewolf attacks and kills her. It also injures them, and they realize that they have to kill the beast to prevent themselves from getting transformed into werewolves. But to get the better of a horrifying werewolf running loose in Los Angeles isn't the easiest thing to do. The production house demanded a PG-13 cut for the movie, and as a result, some crucial bits were cropped out. A lot of reshoots were required that delayed the release, but even with all these issues, the movie turns out to be decent. It promises some good gory fun, and as long as you don't take it too seriously, you have a solid entertainer at hand. The camera work and some incredible stunts will get your mind off of the rather mediocre CGI. There are some amusing one-liners, and even a scene where the werewolf screams, "Liar!" and gives the finger. It is basically not about the scares, but more focused on being a parody of the existing werewolf movies. In the end, it turns out to be just a trademark Wes Craven movie with all the graphic mauling and mutilations, coupled with a generous dose of humor. Skinwalkers, 2007. The story revolves around a 13-year-old boy named Timothy, who is being targeted by two warring packs of werewolves. According to the Navajo's legend, a 13-year-old would end the curse of the Skinwalker werewolves. While his own Skinwalker relatives have protected him from the evil faction, just 2 days before his 13th birthday, the evil werewolf clan manages to plan an attack on Timothy. Can his mother and relatives protect him from the onslaught? And will he be able to live up to the prophecy? The story packs quite a punch, where a group of werewolves protects Timothy, and another group wants him dead. What ensues is a deadly clash where thousands of bullets fly from big shiny guns. You don't really have any big surprises waiting for you, and the plot is fairly predictable. Even then, the climax is satisfying and rather adorable. The cinematography is executed with great finesse, and the night scenes look amazing. The numerous chase sequences and non-stop gun battles are sure to keep you on your toes. Rona Mitra, Jason Behr, and Elias Koteas come together to form a talented cast that delivers the goods. If you're watching this, we would suggest that you go for the uncut version that was released outside the USA. Skinwalkers is going to be the perfect popcorn flick for a casual movie night. HOWL, 2015. A train starts from London and passes through the vast countryside. Along the way, it hits a deer on the tracks. When the driver goes out to remove the dead deer, a strange creature attacks him. The guard tries to keep the people calm and figure out a way to keep them alive. Now the passengers on the train must group together and evade this marauding creature till the morning. With Howl, you have a werewolf movie in its purest form. There is no humanizing of the werewolves or adding some unnecessary erotic angles like we see in many such films. You have realistic and relatable characters who are fighting for their lives as simple, unarmed commuters. Despite the low budget, the special effects were good enough to pull off the creature feature. The very first attack scene with a bloody close-up will leave you shaken and prepare you for the horrors to come. The location where the train gets stuck, in the middle of the dark woods, adds to the eerie atmosphere. There are some interesting characters, and Elliot Cohen does a great job as the psycho banker who is determined to survive at all costs. You have some nice cameos from Sean Pertwee and Rosie Day as well. Some interesting twists in the story keep things thrilling, such as when the passengers rejoice after killing the creature, only to hear more howling from the forests. The ending is sure to leave you surprised. As long as you like werewolf flicks, Howl will prove to be an awesome experience. The Wolfman, 2010. Lawrence had a troubled childhood following his mother's death, and lived away from his father and brother. Many years later, he returns to his ancestral homeland at the insistence of his brother's fiancée. His brother went missing, and he soon learns that the mauled dead body of his brother has been found. Lawrence looks to find out the identity of the killer, but some horrific consequences await him. Something is killing the villagers, and the force seems unstoppable. This is a remake done right, as the makers choose to replicate the brilliance of the 1941 version of the movie. The end result is impressive, with all that you can expect from a horror flick. You have the ideal eerie atmosphere, the mysterious characters, and above all, the fluent narrative that never bores you for a moment. There are some jump scares on offer, but it's the anticipation of the unknown that inspires the chill. Rick Baker has aced the makeup effects with his masterful use of prosthetics, and the movie won the Oscar for Best Makeup. The special effects too deserve a round of applause. The Wolfman has a star-studded cast with Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, and Emily Blunt, ensuring that the acting performances are top-notch. This movie has been criminally underrated despite the rich content, and we would strongly recommend you check it out. Late Phases, 2014. A seasoned war veteran, Ambrose, moves into a quiet neighborhood expecting some peaceful times. However, the community is disturbed by some strange, mysterious animal that is killing the residents. Everyone passes them off as dog attacks. But one night, when Ambrose is attacked by one of the creatures, he realizes that there is more to the story. He must use all his military training to stop the beast before it's too late. This is one of those movies that you wish had a bigger budget, but what the movie lacks in special effects, it compensates with the skillful use of makeup. The creature effects are stunning, and the suit was perfectly crafted to intimidate the audience. Together with a killer script and accomplished actors like Nick D'Amici and Tom Noonan, the film promises to be a stunner. The character of Ambrose, played by Nick D'Amici, is a cool old man who uses a shovel as a cane and smokes cigarettes while he plans to trap the evil creatures. Some scenes, like the ones that show the werewolf transformation, are absolutely sublime and a treat to watch. While horror movies with too much humor often lag in the scary elements, this is clearly an exception. You might go in expecting a campy, hilarious story, but you would definitely be pleasantly surprised at how good this movie is.
Bruce!
Dog Soldiers, 2002. It was supposed to be a routine training mission for a British squad, as they were supposed to train against the Special Operations Squad in the Scottish Highlands. Things go horribly wrong when they discover that the Special Operations Squad has been massacred, with only 2 bloodied survivors. As they try to escape the region, they realize that werewolves are after their lives, and their simple training mission soon turns into a mission for survival. The story of Dog Soldiers is just as simple as it could be. You have soldiers fighting werewolves in the wilderness of Scotland in a blood-curdling setup. Even with minimal use of CGI effects, the werewolves have been made as scary, tall, and giant monsters through animatronics and bodysuits. The movie promises loads of action and some nail-biting moments to hold you for the entire duration. The scene where a sergeant blows up a house to kill the werewolf family is sure to give you goosebumps. This British action horror film stars some of the finest actors, including Liam Cunningham, Kevin McKidd, and Sean Pertwee, who impress in their respective roles. The direction of Neil Marshall leaves nothing to complain about, and his efforts got awarded in some reputed platforms. Overall, Dog Soldiers is sure to come across as an innovative story in an interesting package. Silver Bullet, 1985. A small town was peaceful until some brutal killings started to ring alarm bells among the inhabitants. Marty, a handicapped young boy, ventures out one night after being gifted with a motorized wheelchair. When he is attacked by a strange creature, he manages to survive and identifies it as a werewolf. Marty and his sister, Jane, hunt for the deadly creature all over the town, looking to decipher the identity of the man who is the werewolf. Will they succeed in their mission? The story is based on a Stephen King novel, and the master of horror provides an intriguing plot. There are some interesting characters, brought to life by some soulful acting and good direction. You have a horror movie told from a child's perspective, something that filmmakers haven't tried too often. The ample humor does not disturb the general tone of suspense, and in itself is quite a feat. There is an air of tension for the entire duration, and some horrifying murder scenes are gruesome to the core. The real identity of the werewolf is going to leave you shell-shocked. With all the chills, thrills, action, and suspense, this movie can be your ideal Halloween companion, and you would be sleeping with your lights on at the end of the night. Wolf, 1994. Will Randall is an aging publisher whose job is threatened by a younger coworker. He struggles to keep his job, and in the midst of such chaos in his life, he is bitten by a wolf. Strangely enough, he discovers newfound energy and enthusiasm following the event, and becomes more competitive than ever. He even makes the daughter of his shrewd boss fall for him, but the boss's daughter has no clue that the love of her life can potentially turn into a dangerous werewolf. There are few werewolf movies that can combine horror, drama, and romance to pull off a great entertainer. Wolf not only does that, but also boasts of a cast consisting of the legendary Jack Nicholson as the protagonist. The camera work is the heart of this movie, even though the continuous use of slow motion disturbs the rhythm a bit. Instead of going for the CGI-created monstrosity, the director actually has an actor covered in prosthetic hair portray the werewolf. There's a lack of intense violence or too many action scenes, but the intense storyline would ensure that you never lose interest. As one of the most engrossing werewolf features involving some iconic actors, Wolf might just be the right movie for a fun evening.
Oh, Christopher. It's Eddie. Christ.
The Howling, 1981. Karen White is a newswoman who assists the police in nabbing a dangerous serial killer. The sight of the deadly encounter leaves her disturbed, and she heads to a quiet getaway in the woods with her husband. However, she is unaware that the serial killer was actually a werewolf who hailed from this region. The other inhabitants of the community are his pack members, who want to keep a low profile so that their cover isn't blown. Karen must fight for her life, as she risks being attacked and killed, or turned into a werewolf herself. The director, Joe Dante, the man behind classics like Gremlins and Piranha, is known for his unique style of filmmaking, where he provides moments with suggested terror. Once he brings it to the fore, there is no respite for the audience. The movie has been blessed with some jaw-dropping visuals that are a pleasant change from the usual computer-generated material that we are used to nowadays. Some scenes are enough to make you scream, such as when the protagonist is attacked by a werewolf and she chops off the werewolf's hand with an axe. As for the acting, Dee Wallace, Dennis Dugan, and Patrick McNee provide for some realistic performances. Rick Baker was assigned with the special effects for this movie, but eventually it was completed by his assistant after he left to work on An American Werewolf. The Howling was filmed in a mere 28 days, but instead of being trashed as hurried work, it is hailed as a cult classic in the genre.
I don't like how he looks at you.
Ginger Snaps, 2000. Two sisters, Ginger and Bridget, are obsessed with death. When Ginger has her first period on a full moon night, she gets bitten by a werewolf. Within a few days, her body starts to change, and so does her temperament. Bridget desperately tries to find a cure, but she is racing against the clock as another full moon approaches. Ginger starts to get weirder and scarier as Bridget tries a final attempt to save her soul. Horror movies that deal with teenagers often don't showcase realistic teenage life. Ginger Snaps is an exception where the teenage girls act and talk like real people. The story is genuinely unsettling and has a strong emotional touch to it besides the fear factor. Of course, there are the moments that will make your skin crawl, such as the opening scene where a mother and her son discover that their dog has been torn to pieces. The actors who played the two sisters, Emily Perkins and Catherine Isabel, did a terrific job in portraying the disturbed characters. When Ginger goes through the transformation and her sister is helpless, the audience will feel the agonizing situation. As for the effects, the wolf design is exciting, and the work of an experienced team that worked in projects like Dracula 2000 and Wolf Girl. As long as you have the heart to sit through a genuinely scary movie and a quirky teen monster flick is not off-putting, this is going to be a great watch.
Look, there. Mary, Mother of God.
An American Werewolf in London, 1981. While taking a walking tour through northern England, two American students, David and Jack, get attacked by a werewolf. While Jack is killed, David manages to survive, but is seriously injured. David goes on to stay in an apartment in London with the nurse who treated him. But he keeps having disturbing nightmares. His dead friend appears and seems to be warning that he would turn into a werewolf in the coming full moon. What happens when the nightmares seem to be the real deal and the transformations start taking place? For many, this is the best werewolf movie ever made. And for good reason. For starters, it takes you miles away from the superficial computer-aided special effects that you see today. The effects rely heavily on the makeup and costumes, and Rick Baker is the real showstopper with his extraordinary work. He even won the Oscar Awards for the Best Makeup category. It's said that Rick Baker was unhappy with the amount of time he had to spend on shooting the face-changing scene. The applause of the audience proved his efforts to be worthwhile. Coming to the story, the simplicity is the key here, as the narrative takes you through an exciting journey as you wait in anticipation of the climax. The director, John Landis, has directed many comedies prior to this, and his skills can be seen in the way he generates laughs in the creepiest situations. We couldn't imagine completing the list without a mention of this cult classic, and this must be on your watch list if you're considering the perfect werewolf movie. Where, 2013. A vacationing family camping in the woods is brutally murdered, with only one survivor. The survivor narrates how a strong man murdered and ate her husband and son alive. Following investigations, the police arrest Talon, who lives in the woods with his mother. The defending attorney of Talon starts her own investigations, and her interactions with Talon and his mother point to a deep, dark secret. There is more to it than what meets the eye. The sheer brilliance of this movie is actually in the unique storytelling that makes a majority of the film appear as though it's a crime thriller. They start off with a found footage look that creates a mystifying ambiance for the rest of the movie. Only at the halfway mark, you start getting the real deal when all the action begins. Some scenes are brutal with graphic violence, and the special effects just take it to another level. The role of Talon is rather challenging, and Brian Scott O'Connor does a fabulous job at it. If you're looking for a serious and terrifying werewolf movie, Where is just the one for you.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.